Hi guys. You're tuning into the Outlander after show, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's blaring today.
Oh, I like it.
Hello, everyone.
It's my pump-up song.
Like, we're gonna fight some more. Or a battle, like leading up to, you know what I mean. Welcome to the Outlander After Show, Season 2, Episode 10, Prestonpans. I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. And here's my co-host.
I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter at MLEBeth and on Instagram at OMG, it's MLE.
All right, so first thoughts.
I really like this episode, although it was heartbreaking. Yeah, because we all know how much I love Rupert and Angus and their relationship and all that. So obviously the end was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
But I liked this episode how they made it such a contrast with Claire's abilities of, being in the war as compared to last episode.
The PTSD,
Yeah, because last episode we saw her with the PTSD and how her time being in the war actually hindered her and almost kind of paralyzed her. And this week we saw her back to her old self again, taking charge and kind of getting all the women ready. So I liked how they did that contrast and kind of showed the other side of things. But yeah, I thought it was a great episode. Gory episode.
It was a gory episode. It was the start of the episode. I was kind of like, oh, I need you to go faster.
Yeah.
Go faster. But I mean, with that said, I guess I'm a little desensitized because the start of the episode is like her staring at a corpse, and I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
That's what you get when you watch too much Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But overall, I did like the episode. It was setting up for a lot of things. I knew someone was going to die by the end of the episode. I just had a feeling it was going to be Dougal, because of when they did their recap. I was like, oh, okay, so they're probably going to kill Dougal.
Yeah.
But overall, it was nice to see them actually go into a historical battle that they had mentioned so many times, and to actually see it come to fruition for the show was great to see. I have no need for Prince Stuart though, for Prince Charles. He can please.
You know what I do love with his character though? I was thinking as I was watching the show, I thought I should have started a drinking game where every time he says, "Mark me,"
right?
You take a drink, because you would just probably be a little buzzed at the end of this. Most of the time I'll notice he'll say it a couple times, but this episode,
it was like 5 or 6 word out of his mouth was Mark me.
I really wish it's Andrew Gower, I believe that is the actor that plays him. I really wish we could have him on the show so we could ask him how that kind of came to be. Is that something that was written in there, or is that
time?
Yeah,
the actual
Mark me? But yeah, that was kind of funny.
That's the one bummer about the Outlander show, is that we can't actually all of the stars live overseas.
Yeah, I know. Come here, come visit us here.
And we can try and get you on the show.
Yeah.
His Mark me's today, and maybe it's because I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah,
but every other word I would look up and be like, why is he always saying Mark me?
I know. It's
funny. At points where I'm like, does it make sense for you to say Mark me in this moment?
Yeah.
Does it though?
I think it's kind of just the way I interpret it is his way of kind of showing his authority, maybe like putting kind of that extra tone on whatever he's saying, or mark me, I'm gonna be right, or whatever it is that's kind of going on. But yeah, I wonder. I do have to say, and we'll get into a little bit more, but I was very surprised that he was ready to go to war and ready to go fight. I thought he was going to be hanging on the back all right, good luck, guys. But the fact that he's no, I want to fight. So I like to see that from him.
That's good. Yeah. That's good to see. There's just so much I want to, there's just so much stuff that happened in France. I'm like,
yeah,
I want to get back to that.
I know.
It's not that I don't want to see the war. It's not that I don't care about the battle, because I certainly cared about the things that happened in this episode. But there were so many things that they built up, especially with his character and with Louise, and that I kind of want to just see what's going on there.
Yeah, I feel like, the direction the show's going in, it seems like they aren't going to bring that stuff back up. But I just don't see how they couldn't, because there's so many things that just kind of just are hanging there. So I feel like at some point hopefully it'll come back again and revisit it. But one thing before we dive too much into it that I wanted to say that we missed mentioning last week.
Season 3 and 4 pickup.
Is the renewal. I know. I put it out on Twitter how excited I was because obviously that means more AFTERBUZZ for a couple more seasons. Woo! But yeah, we forgot to mention it. Somebody brought it up on YouTube, so I want to.
I'm sorry, you guys. I hadn't heard until I saw that YouTube comment. Yeah, so they were picked up for a season 3 and 4, which means at least 2 more wonderful years with Jamie and Claire.
Yay!
Hopefully 2 more years with Jamie and Claire.
I know.
Jamie and Claire, not Claire and Frank.
Ugh.
I love Frank, but no. Like, where's my Jamie? Where's my half-naked Jamie? So that's very exciting news. So we'll be congrats to everyone. I mean, that's, as an actor, that's work. And everyone's like, I get to work, guaranteed 2 more years. But just jumping off of that, it starts with them basically having the understanding that they are going into the Battle of Prestonpans.
Yeah.
Claire does have foreknowledge of this particular battle, and she's told them that they will win. Which I don't know. What do you think about that? That they kind of like just knew they were going. Well, it kind of is weird because they're also they're hoping that they can like also go against history in a way. So there was not really a guarantee that they were going to win this battle in a way.
Yeah. It was kind of weird how they all left it off. And I knew like you said, somebody was going to die. Just the way they kind of set it up. I felt like this whole episode was a lot like just darker in like the music they were playing and literally speaking, a lot of it was shot like at nighttime. But
and the fog.
Just how they kind of set it up when they were leaving to go into battle, and they said, I think it was Angus or Rupert, one of them was like, you know what, I'm not going to say bye to you because we'll be back. Like, we win this, And right there I was like, one of
Someone's
you
gonna die.
is going to die. Yeah.
Well, when they show the 2 guys whose names I've forgotten that are from a different clan.
Oh, Kincaid and Ross.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
When they showed them like exchanging the information of like, if I die, you do. And then Angus in turn and Rupert did the same thing. I was like, oh man.
I know.
Someone's going to die today.
Yeah.
So, it was overall just a darker tone, and I think they kind of set that up so like no surprises that someone's gonna die. They're not gonna red wedding us or purple.
I know, right? I don't think I can handle that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But yeah, that scene, just kind of how they set that up and saying that they were gonna be okay because they were gonna win. I wasn't sure because Claire went back in time, and I was thinking, well, did that, like we've been discussing, did that shift everything? And then even how they said at the very end, they're like, okay, but we won this one, which you predicted, but also we're supposed to lose the next one. Is what happens in history. So it's, so I don't know, the whole like time thing and
timey-wimey.
It's hard to kind of predict or say like what's going to happen just because Claire's there. So I don't know how much that messed things up or not.
My theory was that if Claire had never gone back in time, and not to say they wouldn't have won the things, like maybe they would have lost that battle, but they would have won the war, that kind of thing. You know, maybe because she did go back in time, that is what set history in stone. Is that she actually happened to be able to do that. But that's just a possibility. I mean, that'd be putting a lot of weight on like one woman who just so happened to travel back through some magic stones in Scotland. But hey, that's kind of how time works sometimes. The butterfly effect. But I think in terms of the overall war, it makes more sense that they lose. And also, we kind of already know from episode 1 of this season that they still lose. Because when Claire goes back, that's the first thing she asks. She goes, Who won? And they lost. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they died.
Exactly.
Plenty of wars are won and lost without particular people living or dying. So that I don't think that's necessarily like a death wish or a death guarantee for Jamie or for Dougal or for Murtagh or even Fergus, who I thought was a goner. I totally thought Fergus was a goner.
Oh my gosh, I know. This whole episode, just anxiety with his character, and it just, you know, just everything he's been through, you know, especially with Blackjack and just kind of getting over that. And then I'm like, oh my God, he's putting himself in this situation in war. And yeah, I thought something for sure was going to happen to him. But yeah, I really like his relationship with Claire and Jamie as well. But I feel like Claire's really kind of taking on that mother role with him. You know, you could see in the beginning how she's kind of, you know, wanting him to behave, and then when she sees that he's okay, you know, just rushing to him, and yeah, that was really scary though. And I think I don't know, it seemed like he was really affected by what he saw.
Oh yeah,
how he thought he killed somebody.
Well, didn't he kill?
I think so, but he was like, I think he died. I don't know. You know, he was all
the guy was like
confused.
Already down or something, right? Though
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing it happen. Yeah, Dougal on his
jerk
rampage.
What? We'll get to do
savage, yeah.
But no, yeah. Well, I guess just to start it off then with, we see them going off to war. We see Claire prepping the women to get ready and to. They don't understand, which I thought was funny. The need for like water and all the kind of things, and her having that kind of future knowledge of like, well, we will need this for this and that, and Fergus also kind of being upset that he has to stay with the women folk
and do women's work.
He wish he stayed with him now, don't he? You wish you stayed with him the whole time. Anyways, and we also see the Kincaid and Ross storyline kind of. They were just, I've never seen them before. Am I crazy? Have we seen them before?
I feel like we had at like some point, maybe not a long time ago, but maybe when they were kind of in the last few episodes getting people together. I think,
I didn't recognize them.
Yeah, maybe.
We do see that kind of being planted of like that kind of camaraderie, the mirroring of the two romances, camaraderie relationships set up, and with the decision to see. Basically, they start with like, how can they attack the British? Yeah. Without the British knowing that they're coming.
Right.
The British are coming. Sorry. So it starts with Jamie basically setting up a plan to see how far they can get across this like swamp. Basically,
which is so weird. Like war back then. Right? I mean, you know, war anytime is
weird,
awful. But yeah, just so weird how they were kind of set up, and it took me a while to figure out. I'm like, wait, are they on the same side or what's happening? Because they're just kind of sitting there looking at each other, and then Dougal kind of goes in and then they start shooting. It's so bizarre how it all kind of went down. But yeah, that scene was really kind of odd, and how Dougal gets hit in the head.
Yeah, he gets like skinned a bit. Yeah, it's just, I guess, a test to see how far they could charge these British people who can see them coming like a mile away with like no cover. Yeah. And then he gets stuck in the muck, which he knew was going to happen. Yeah. But I guess they also got to see how far the bullets can go. So how far they can like come up before they are actually in danger, which was a good thing to note, I suppose. Yeah. Didn't really seem worth it to me.
And it didn't. Yeah. In the end, it didn't matter, you know, because they surprise attacked him anyway.
Exactly.
So, but maybe that's going to be future knowledge. I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess it was just something to kind of show like, oh, well, we obviously can't go this way. We're going to need another way to attack them to win the Battle of Prestonpans. Yeah. Which leads to the gentleman Anderson. Yes. Making an appearance. Yeah. I love how people just randomly show up.
I know, like out of the blue.
This camp is not secure.
Yeah, who was on security watch? Right? Because who was that guy?
Like, Claire's just all on her lonesome. This dude just walks in like, hey, I can help you. Why? What is happening?
I know. I know. And I was skeptical of him at first.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that it was going to be a setup. I didn't trust him. I don't know why. I guess because people have come in their camp before, like the guy who tried to kill Jamie. I think it was last episode, or
Craigh.
Yeah. So that guy that's gonna come back sometime. Yeah. But so I thought it was a setup for sure. I was like, this guy is just gonna say something. I don't know. He looked like he wasn't telling the truth, but apparently he was. So
that there's a random path
that nobody knows about.
Nobody knows about. It wasn't, I was expecting like a little narrow path and they're all like hunched together walking. Yeah. It was like, how does no one know about this path? Because they were all like flanked out, cruising in the fog. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so they find their way to their path to the British and they attack them under the cover of fog.
Yes.
which is perfect for them. They were able to find some fog. That was just convenient.
Yes.
Conveniently there. Sorry, I'm not talking. I am talking a little smack. But, and they come and they kill hundreds of their men. Like, at the actual battle, I don't know how the actual battle went down. They said, like, it has been kind of been made into, like, a myth, like a mythologized. That's not the correct.
I don't know. I'm gonna roll with it.
It's like
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that it's bigger than what it actually was. But from what they can say, like, from what I could read, the Scots had like 30 to 40 people die, and then 70 wounded, whereas the Brits had 300 to 400 people die, 500 wounded, and then like 14 to 1,500 taken hostage.
Oh my gosh.
Which I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Aren't there more British? And but whatever. Hey, that's like what they, according to Wikipedia. So
yeah.
That's what they said.
Interesting.
They actually came through and slaughtered the British.
Well, I know that little piece after that they show sometimes on Starz of the directors or producers speaking. Ira, who wrote and produced the episode, said something like the battle in real life only took like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think is what he was talking about. So, which is crazy. And it just shows how, I thought that they did a good job of showing that in the episode, how like it wasn't, it really, they just came in and just slaughtered everyone. Yeah. Well, a lot of people before they retreated. So yeah, it was definitely the goriest.
Well, one thing I did notice about the British soldiers, which I was like, oh, maybe this is why. Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about like gun history or like how weapon history, but none of their guns had like you see like the French at some point have the gun with like the sword or the knife at the end. So they can, if they don't have time to load the gun, they can use it as a sword. But none of the British had any swords.
I thought I saw one with that, but maybe
I saw the captain. He had a sword when he got Rupert.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Just like swords on their own, not like the kinds that are on the end of the gun.
Because that's why they were able. I think that's why the Scots were able to come in and just slaughter them. Is because they didn't have time to load their guns.
Right.
So because they were coming at them just with pitchforks and swords and whatever they could get their hands on, and just like slicing and dicing. Yeah. Whereas the British didn't seem to have any swords on them, so they couldn't defend themselves with anything but their gun, which takes like 10 minutes to load.
Right. Yeah.
Bayonet. Thank you. I was like, what is the name of that darn gun? They didn't have any bayonets. Oh. So.
Interesting, yeah. I didn't realize that. I thought I saw one guy with a gun with a bayonet. But maybe that was, like you said, just the captain, or like maybe not everybody had them. But yeah, that is kind of weird, and probably resulted in
their slaughter.
Yeah. So,
but it was a quick fight, and they certainly didn't set it up the episode before that the farmers or any of the Scottish would be able to take on the British, because they just weren't as uniformed. They didn't have guns, but because they had that cover, they were able to come in and just surprise them.
And I thought it kind of went along with, when Dougal was saying, last episode, how Jamie's all trying to get them in lines and like train them, and Dougal just kind of came in and with Rupert and Angus and like surprise attacked him. And Jamie's like, no, that's not how we do it.
But that's kind of what they did.
That's kind of how they did it. Yeah.
But with shirts on, thank goodness. Right. Because, like, don't go into war without a shirt on.
No, it's just
ever.
Not smart.
Not smart at all. But during the battle, we see a few things happen. We see Fergus sneak out with the battle. Nobody turned ahead and was like, kid,
what are you doing? Yeah.
So we see Rupert get slashed, like practically gutted by a British soldier. And right before he's about to again get cut down, Angus comes with a gun, shoots the guy dead, smiles, and then a cannon shoots out and knocks him off his feet. Which, like, of course, my first thought when that happened was, oh, that's like some internal damage right there. Like, because I live in this present time, and that's like the first thing you think about. If you watch enough Grey's Anatomy, if somebody seems fine, and they're like walking around like, take care of my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Take care of my daughter. Like, that dude's dead.
Yeah.
That
he's
guy,
dying.
he's dead by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
They're probably going to get Angus.
I know.
So I don't know. How'd you feel about, like, when you saw Angus get hit with the cannonball?
Well, at first, you know, when Rupert mentioned it, when he's lying there and he's like, did Angus get blown up? I think he says.
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
what are you talking about? And Angus is like, oh, nothing, you know, and trying to play it off.
Yeah.
Then I thought, okay, something's got to be wrong. Just the way
Yeah.
he played it off. Like, what happened? Did he run? Did he, like, what
Yeah.
was it significant with this? And then seeing how he did get kind of like hit, I guess, you know, how, you know, I thought
Yeah.
something was going to happen. But then the more I thought about it after he died and it was just so awful and gruesome, I thought, I don't know that they could have done anything for him anyway, right? You know, even though Claire kind of does have a little bit more advanced medical practice, I don't know that they could have, like, there's no x-rays or anything, obviously, you know, so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that they could have done anyway. But I just thought it was, I guess, kind of a nice way that Angus went out saving Rupert, you know,
Yeah.
and kind of got him back and made sure he was safe before
That
he
was
ended up dying.
Rough stitching scene. I was kind of
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
I
I know.
need to
I know.
see this.
Yeah. I had
But,
to keep kind of
like,
glancing back.
no, honestly, I don't know. I feel like internal bleeding is that's one thing that it's always just seems like a death wish, like a death
Yeah.
sentence. Like, whenever you see it in television,
Yeah.
whenever you hear about it, they're like, make sure there's no internal bleeding. Like, that's how they got McDreamy, that internal bleeding. Whatever. So or swelling, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things where, what do you do in that situation in that time? If I guess if it's like a ruptured lung, you can cut them open so it
Yeah.
bleeds out and not in.
Yeah.
But they can't do a blood transfusion either.
Right.
Well, wait, didn't they do? I'm thinking of a different show.
I don't know.
Am I thinking? Of a
I don't
different
know
show?
if they did. Are you talking about France?
Yeah. Do they do a blood transfusion?
Maybe. But even then, they wouldn't have had that where they
Yeah.
were at in Prestonpans or whatever town they were at.
Yeah,
you know?
she wouldn't have been able. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't have any tubing, but
I just don't.
it's pretty
think-
much
yeah.
nothing could have really saved
Because it was
him.
pretty quick too, anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, just the fact that he was kind of like, "Oh, I'm fine," kind of pushing her away. I thought he's not fine. Something's going on.
Well, I was a bit shocked that the only thing she attempted to check was his head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just with Claire being from the future, you know, a cannonball, and I think he said it was a gunshot. Is that what Angus tried to cover up with it being like, oh, it's just a gunshot or like a cannonball nearby?
I don't know.
I thought he tried to cover it.
I think he downplayed it,
Yeah.
like, oh, he's just doesn't know what he saw or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of made it so it wasn't actually it didn't actually happen, or it wasn't a big deal or something. So maybe Claire just kind of took his word for it and was like,
Yeah.
okay, great, I got other things going on, and wasn't really.
Yeah, but I
focus
feel like
on
that
it.
would be the first thing to check. Is just like, let me see your head, lift up your shirt, let me
Yeah.
see, make sure. But you know, I can't imagine I would be of much help in that situation at all. I'd just be like, everyone's gonna die.
I know.
I need like sutures and like gauze and alcohol. I have none.
Yeah.
But anyways, to jump back to before Angus dies, we see Dougal being just like wretched on that.
Savage. Oh my gosh.
Such a little savage man.
Yeah.
Just going through and kind of pulling like a Walking Dead
I
on British soldiers and just like killing them. I'm like, oh my God, is he like just putting it through their eyes to make sure they don't turn to a zombie? Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And he runs into a British soldier. It's hard to say. Who helped them a year ago when they were being escorted as a part of like Jamie being sentenced, and they were going to visit him or something.
I think it was
that correct?
when I was trying to look back, but I think it was the guy when when they had Claire, and I don't know what they were doing with her, but remember he came up and he goes like he realizes that she's English, and he says like, "Ma'am, are you okay? You know, are these people holding you against your will?" And they say that like the captain would want to see her or something, remember? And they take her, and that's when she first sees Blackjack when he comes in.
Oh, right.
I think that was the guy who watched out for Claire.
Yeah, he did help. He helped her. Because I recall him being helpful.
Yeah.
So, and just, so he's sitting there, and he could probably be saved. Like, yeah, he's hurt, but if you're willing to like pick him up, he can probably like stumble with you back to Claire and the makeshift hospital that they have going on right now. And just to jump back to that, Charles Stewart made it very clear that he did not want to, you know, just brutally kill all the British. If there was some to be saved, that they should be saved. That we shouldn't. They're still our brothers. Yeah. You know, this isn't a war we want to be fighting. And if we can save the fellow British, then we should save them.
And he wanted them saved first.
Yeah. Which I was
and
like,
Jamie was like,
no, man.
I don't think about that.
He's like, good luck getting my wife to save any of these dudes.
Which is even weird. Sorry, quick tangent. That they would even be in the same, you know, getting the same medical attention. Like going back to how weird war was, especially back then, that they come in like, oh, we don't mean any harm. We just tried to kill your husband and all of your people, but can you stitch me up?
Right. Like, it is, like, you know, there was a certain level of like even with the whole idea of a duel, like, I see you, good sir, and I will challenge you to your death tomorrow. Yeah. Like, you're like, why don't you just try to kill me now? Like,
I know.
I think that's more of a modern type of mindset of like, well, there's not this pomp and circumstance to murder. Right. I know. So nowadays. Whereas back then, there was a politeness to war. Like, well, we will help you, and when we have to. Yeah. You're still a human. Yeah. You're not anything less than. And so we should treat you with the respect we treat any human. Which is something we could probably bring back nowadays.
That's kind of nice. I mean, in a way.
But before we go further into the British and the conversation that he has with Dougal has with this young man, I did want to say we are brought to you all here for free every week by one of our I can't think of the word. Casper. Let's just go with that. I can't think of sponsors. Thank you. I got my brain fart. Casper is one of our sponsors. It's the middle of the night, and you wake up drenched, covered in sweat. Sure, you can crank up the AC all night to try and keep cool, but who can afford that? Do what I did. Get rid of your heat-trapping mattress and upgrade to a Casper. I'm sleeping as cool as the other side of the pillow every night. Casper was invented with 2 high-tech foams that guarantee you sleep cool and comfortable with all the support you need. In fact, Time magazine named the Casper mattress one of the best inventions of 2015. Their new sheets and pillows are just as comfortable. Together, they were designed to create the perfect sleep environment so you stay cool and balanced all night. Your Casper mattress ships free in a box so small you won't believe it holds a mattress, making it simple to get from your front door to your bedroom. Best of all, you can try it in your own home for 100 nights risk-free, and if you don't love it, they'll pick it up and refund you everything. I can say this as well. I have slept on a Casper mattress, and it is amazing.
Really?
And comfortable, and the sheets are really soft, and I highly recommend it. So if you're interested in getting a Casper, we encourage you to go to casper.com/AfterBuzz and use code AfterBuzzTV for $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. That's casper.com/AfterBuzz, code AfterBuzzTV, and get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Casper. Okay, so with I think the British guy was really sweet in that he told Dougal right before Dougal like gutted him. You know, please save me. And Dougal was like, I'm definitely not going to carry your butt back to safety. He's like, but I just want you to know, like, there's just no way you can win this war. Like, you think you can win it, and you won this battle, and that's really great, but there's no way you can win this actual war. And then Dougal just guts him.
Yeah. There was
like the worst type of death.
Yeah. There was definitely, I felt like in the beginning of their conversation, how Dougal kind of sits down next to him, you know, and I thought, okay, well, maybe he's not going to carry him back, but maybe he's not going to just stab him in the head like he's been doing everybody else. And then he makes that comment, and then Dougal just flips, stabs him, and the line that it cracked me up. I laughed probably a little bit louder than I should have, but Dougal said, "I'll look for you in hell." And it was just like
Dougal.
it was so Dougal though, you know, like just not having. I don't want to say that he doesn't have remorse. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. But it just kind of like he just, I feel like he has this filter over him, or like maybe it's like tunnel vision or something, where he's like, this is the goal. I'm going to take out anybody that gets in my way, and I'm not going to feel sorry for it. You know?
Yeah.
And he just savage, like was on a rampage.
Dougal's a bit of an extremist.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be like that, Dougal. There can be class and understanding and humanity, even in more. But yeah, but what the guy was saying was right. He wasn't trying to like antagonize him. He wasn't trying to be mean to him. He was just like, no, I really want you to like understand like the scope of what is going on here. Like you've won this battle and that's great, but you caught us off guard. Yeah. And we're small. Like, how many Brits do you think we have? We have 10 times more the people than you. Yeah. They are coming. They will destroy you. Yeah. So just anyways.
Yeah.
That was a rough scene. He was incredibly savage. And then for him to come back. Well, one, I was surprised to see, well, before we get into Charles walking into the hospital, the fact that the British soldiers were like so chill. The ones who came in and were like, we're being held hostage. We're so chill. Yeah. Like when Jamie walks over and he's like, hold this for me. Yeah. He's like, okay. Yeah. I'll bet you can't get it all in there and all that. It's just crazy.
Having a peen contest.
Just having a peen contest. I was like, these guys are super chill. What kind of war is this?
I know.
I wish. War nowadays is like, I don't know, ISIS. I don't know. What war are we in right now? I don't know. But like an ISIS soldier comes up to an American soldier and they're like, hey, I pay you $100. You can't piss in that jar right there. Yeah. Like that would be like the way to ending the war. That would be peacetime right there. Just pissing contests. Yeah, that's how you end war.
Yeah, totally. It solves all of our problems.
Oh no, don't quote me on that. I'm joking. It's a joke. But with that said, Prince Charles walks in and is pleased to see that there are British soldiers there and that they are being taken care of and that they have won the battle and they're on track with what he thinks is possible. And then Dougal.
Yep. Just comes in and ruins his good vibes.
Yeah.
His good energy.
And he wanted the approval of Prince Charles. Yeah. He'd gotten that with his like brave, stupid moment of going to truck to the British, and he completely destroyed it. Yeah. But why didn't anyone tell Dougal, of all people, that Prince Charles wants the British to be taken care of? Like, did you? Was there any point where they...
I don't think so. Not that I can remember. Maybe it happened and just not off the top of my head I can remember. But yeah, and I thought too, when he came in and he's like doing all this gloating and stuff, it's like, why wasn't anybody like, hey, behind you, look behind you. You know,
everyone was just...
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird scene, and you know how at the end of that, how Prince Charles tried to exile him, and then Jamie like jumped in and saved him, but then Dougal in turn goes to Jamie like, I see what you did there.
That made me, when he said that, I was like, well, maybe that's why Jamie. Yeah. I don't think Jamie necessarily wants to get rid of Dougal per se. But I think it's just easier for him to manage his troops if he's not there.
I think I agree with you. I think that Jamie cares about Dougal. Obviously, you know, all the time they spent together, and although Dougal was not always the nicest to Jamie or treated him with respect, I think that, you know, Jamie's thinks a lot of like brotherhood and like especially with his, you know, clan and people, his family, and you know, which is a loose term, I guess, because he would consider them family, I think. But so I think he respects Dougal, but I think, like you said, it's just easier where he's at now to not have Dougal around, because we've seen time and time again since they've been back how Dougal kind of creates problems for him when he's trying to get the soldiers ready, and Dougal's like coming in all doing surprise attack, you know, and the training, and then now he's upsetting Prince Charles. So I think it's the same thing. Like, I don't think Jamie was thinking like, oh, let me get rid of Dougal, let me get out of here. But I think it was kind of like maybe a light bulb moment, like, oh, this is a way that it could be a win-win. You know, like he's not exiled, but
exactly, because he was going to be banished basically. So I think all would have been fine even with his like his being boisterous if he hadn't attempted to immediately kill a British Jew the moment he saw him.
Yeah.
Because I think once Prince Charles saw that, he was like, well, you're not really fighting for what I'm fighting for. I'm not fighting to get rid of all the British. I'm fighting so that we can be understanding. And in that sense, I kind of understand Prince Charles. He's a little bit idealistic, but just this belief that they can live side by side and get along and not have this like hatred for each other. And they do now, for the most part.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. Kind of. You know, I think it's just kind of looking at what they want to do and how much the Scots hate the Brits. Yeah. Just kind of in general, you know, even before this whole thing came up, even before Claire told them what's going to happen, it's like they always kind of had this just, you know, not a good attitude towards each other. So it's kind of interesting that now they're hoping that they can all coincide and everybody's going to be happy, which obviously is not going to happen.
No,
so.
Not in the next 50, 100 years.
Yeah.
But jumping from that, this is the moment where we see Angus finally. And that was rough.
So sad. Yeah.
Because it was so quick.
It was. And I think that scene for me, just seeing him die, and especially in the fashion he did, I think it made it just so much more real for me, and I think for them. Yeah. You know, I think as an audience member, seeing like, okay, somebody that we really like, at least I really like, and you know, somebody that's really close to them dying like that as a casualty of war. And I think for them, it kind of made it that much more real too. Like, okay, yeah, we're trying to stop this thing and we're trying to fight, but you know, if somebody really care about, like, people are dying and people will die. Yeah. So yeah, that was really, really sad to see, and I'm so bummed out. I loved his character. I just loved his like comedic interactions, and so yeah, that was sad.
Because up until this point, they've been talking about the casualties like they weren't a big deal. Like they're like, oh, we lost 50 people. That's not so bad, whatever. But to see Angus die in front of them and to not be able to do anything about it, like to see him like in his death throes, and for him like trying to ask, and them turning to Claire and be like, is there anything you can do? And she's just like, no, like all we can do is like just hold him.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think, since these past couple seasons, or I guess since the show's been on, has anyone really close to them died before?
Well, the little redhead, but she wasn't that close. She was close to Claire.
Oh, Galis. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I forgot about her.
But in terms of like their group, like the men, no. I
don't think any of their close people have. No. So yeah, it was kind of that, I guess for me, that first one where it was like, oh yeah, like, okay, not everyone is going to be safe. Yeah. You know, like bad things are going to happen. Yeah. So, yeah, it was sad. I didn't like it.
So it was rough to see, and then to see Rupert get up. And Rupert got up. It was like, he was gutted. Yeah. I can't ever complain about like menstrual cramps again. No, I'm joking. Because he just like shot up and like walked over and grabbed that sword, like with his guts half hanging out. Yeah. But to see that moment, and just it was sad, because at that moment I don't think they were 100% sure that Rupert was going to be okay, and Angus wasn't sure he was going to be okay, and he didn't even get to know that Rupert was okay. Like Rupert got up, heard him die, got up and took the sword, and
I know, and
got wasted with Ross.
I know, and I kind of thought, like, as soon as Kincaid died, and then I saw Rupert and Angus there, and then it was kind of alluding to the fact that something was not right with Angus. I thought, well, if he dies, then Rupert and Ross should become buddies. Yeah. Because Kincaid was kind of this bigger guy, and Ross was kind of the smaller one, and that's the relationship with Rupert and Angus. So I thought those two should become friends, and then they come out singing, just absolutely wasted, singing, and Dougal's like sitting in the fire, like just zoned in on something, you know, and yeah, so that was kind of an interesting scene to see how they kind of were grieving and dealing with it. But
yeah, I gotta say, I do like cultures that have singing as part of their mourning. Yes. Like, I always find that to be like, I mean, Black culture we have singing, but it's not like we all have a song that we all know and we just like, well, no. Yeah. Like, we all know like Danny Boy or something, and we all like start singing. I think I always appreciate when in television when they actually have that moment, because it's sad, but it's also like we're gonna celebrate this person's life as well.
Yeah. And I think it showed kind of like a brotherly bond that they were kind of forming and singing about or whatever. So I like that. I agree. I thought that was good to see that it kind of added a little bit of uplifting to the scene.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Angus just like eternally bleeding and coming out of his mouth, or internally, I should say. But and then to see that, it kind of was like, okay, brotherly bond, kind of picking it up, like. All right, so
we're gonna be okay. This is
we're gonna
war,
be okay. Yeah.
Casualties of war. But yeah, so I think that about. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on with the episode?
I don't think on the episode. I did have to say that this past weekend I watched Creed, which I didn't know Dougal was in, or Graham McTavish.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
I know.
I was watching Creed.
Okay.
6 months ago.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I
why
know.
does that guy look so familiar?
I'm late.
I'm late. No.
I'm late to the party. I know I just watched it this past weekend, and I didn't know he was on it. So to see him, I thought was super cool. I thought he did a great job. That was fun. It's always fun to see people in other roles when you haven't, seen them in other things.
You haven't seen them before, yeah.
Yeah, and then Tobias Menzies is on Game of Thrones.
He is. He came back.
Super cool.
It was super exciting.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Game of Thrones fan as well, and when I saw their previews and they brought up the Red Wedding and I saw Tobias Menzies and I was like, really?
Blackjack, what are you doing?
Well, he mentioned it a while ago. I read some interview with him and he's like, oh, I would love to come back for Game of Thrones, but I highly doubt they're ever going to bring me back for it. And so to see him like come out, even if it is just him like looking really sad.
I know, like just
being
helpless
tortured.
and like, yeah.
But I'm super excited, right? And that's just like, well, maybe it's just like payback kind of for like Blackjack. Is that like on this other show he's like tortured?
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for tonight because we also get to see. Sorry, this is obviously the Outlander after show, but I am excited for Brienne and Jamie to come face to face because it's been like 2 years. Anyways. On that note, should we go into predictions for Outlander?
Yes.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right.
From what I could see from the episodes of next week, it looked like they're stuck in a church somewhere, Jamie or somebody, and people are surrounding them.
Exiled?
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out what was happening, but that's what it looked like to me. And then it looks like Jamie and Claire split up or something. I thought I heard them say like, we'll come back to each other, find each other, something like that.
So, it was like some weird Mad Men style preview where you're like, I don't understand this.
Right. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. I did see that, or did hear Robert Moore, the executive producer, say that this episode, Prestonpans, was the one big battle scene this season.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that there will not be any more huge battles or fighting. So, the big battle, I don't know that we're going to see that this season.
I think the assumption, for me at least, is that Claire is forced to go back to the Stones before the battle, which would explain why she doesn't know what happens in the battle when she comes back to the future. I love any time in life where I can say the words Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Because you can't really say that often. But I think the next episode, it seems like she probably will be split from Jamie. Murtagh will probably take her and for some reason have to take her back to the Stones.
Yeah.
But if the title of the next episode is Vengeance is Mine, so I don't know if we're going to have a return of Captain Dread.
Oh gosh, I love you, Tobias, but I don't know if I can handle that. Angus just passed away. I don't know if I can handle that.
But I mean, he is a British soldier, so it would make sense that he would.
No, it would make sense
if his little pee-pee is healed, that he would make a return. And I still want to know, like, who's the guy with the purple birthmark?
I know. We're gonna find out
by the end.
At some point. We're gonna find out.
We only have 3 more episodes, so. All right. Well, I think about sums it up for us.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I am Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, MSADRIANSNOW.
And I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter at MLEBeth and on Instagram at OMG. It's MLE.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.